My mother looked at my 7-year-old son and said he didn't earn dessert. My father texted, "Transfer the mortgage tomorrow." That's when I realized I'd been paying for love my entire life. You are welcome to another mind-blowing story of how family betrays their own. Before we continue, let us know where you are watching from and hit the subscribe button. I arrived at my parents' house 2 hours early, the way I always did. Elliot sat in the back seat, clutching the pumpkin pie we'd baked at 6 a.m. He was 7, gap-toothed, and still believed that being good meant being loved. I used to believe that too. "Do you think Grandma will like it?" he whispered as we walked up the stone path. "Of course, baby." I squeezed his hand. "Just be perfect. Just be quiet. Just be small." My mother opened the door in her pristine apron, eyes scanning me like a health inspector. "Tracy, you're early. And is that store-bought crust?" "We made it from scratch, Mom." She turned away. "Well, come help with the turkey." Elliot, shoes off. And don't touch anything. The next 4 hours blurred into the performance I perfected over 33 years. I chopped, I stirred. I laughed at my father's jokes about finally paying him back. Elliot sat at the kids' table, alone since my brother's family canceled, drawing turkeys with crayons I'd packed. He was so good. He said please. He ate his vegetables. He helped clear plates without being asked, his small hands careful with the china. My father squeezed my shoulder. "See? He's learning. Discipline builds character." I smiled. I always smiled. Then came dessert. My mother carried out 3 pies, pecan, apple, pumpkin. She served my father first. Then herself. Then me. The knife hovered over Elliot's empty plate. "Oh." She set it down. "I forgot." Elliot looked up, confused. "Forgot what, Grandma?" She glanced at my father, who shrugged with a smirk. "Well, sweetheart, dessert is for people who earn it. You didn't really contribute to this meal, did you?" The room tilted. Elliot's face crumpled, just for a second, before he forced a smile. "That's okay. I'm full anyway." My father chuckled. "That's the spirit. Teaches him gratitude." I heard myself laugh. I heard myself say, "He is pretty full." I watched my son's small shoulders curve inward, making himself even smaller. And I took a bite of pumpkin pie. Tasted like glass. We drove home in silence. Elliot stared out the window. When I tucked him in, he whispered, "Why didn't Grandma like me today?" "She loves you, baby. She's just tired." At 11 p.m. my phone buzzed. "Dad, transfer the mortgage tomorrow. We need to discuss your gratitude problem." I sat on my kitchen floor, still in my Thanksgiving dress, and finally let myself feel it. Rage. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark, phone glowing in my lap, reading my father's text over and over until the words stopped making sense. Transfer the mortgage tomorrow. Not a request. A command. The same tone he'd used my entire life. Pay me back for raising you. Pay me back for college. Pay me back for existing. I walked to Elliot's room and stood in his doorway. He was curled around his stuffed elephant, the one my parents said was too babyish for a 7-year-old. His face was peaceful now, but I couldn't stop seeing the moment at dinner. That flicker of confusion when his grandmother looked at him like he was less than. Like he hadn't earned basic kindness. My hand started shaking. I thought about every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, every birthday where I performed gratitude like a trained dog. I thought about the college fund they held over my head until I majored in accounting instead of art. The car loan that came with a lecture series. The down payment on this house that turned into a leash. "We gave you everything," my mother always said. What they gave me was a lifetime of believing I was a debt to be repaid. I walked back to the kitchen and opened my laptop. 2:47 a.m. I pulled up the mortgage documents, the ones my father had helped me with 5 years ago when I was a broke single mom desperate for stability. His name was on everything. Cosigner. Emergency contact. Authority. I opened my bank statements next. Calculated what I'd paid him over 5 years in gratitude contributions. Cash for holidays, checks for family expenses. The new roof on their house that I somehow funded. $43,000. My vision blurred. Then I saw it clearly. The invisible price tag that had hung around my neck since birth. The same one they were already fitting around Elliot's. He didn't earn it. No. He didn't have to. Something inside me, something that had been bending for 33 years, finally snapped clean. I picked up my phone and blocked my mother's number. Then my father's. The silence that followed felt like the first full breath I'd taken in decades. At 6 a.m. I called a mortgage broker. "I need to refinance," I said. "Today." The broker's voice was calm, clinical. "With your credit score and payment history, you'll qualify. We can have you out from under the cosigner in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 14 days until my father's name disappeared from my life. I hung up and stared at my kitchen table, now covered in spreadsheets. Every loan, every gift, every chain itemized in black and white. The car, paid off, title still in their safe for safekeeping. The furniture, borrowed from their garage, which meant it could be reclaimed during any argument. Even Elliot's college fund, the one I'd been depositing into monthly, opened in my father's name for tax purposes. I made a list. It took 3 pages. Then I made a second list. Things they can't take. It was shorter, but it was mine. Elliot wandered into the kitchen at 7, rubbing his eyes. "Why are you up so early?" I closed the laptop. "Just working, baby. Want pancakes?" He nodded, then hesitated. "Are we going to Grandma and Grandpa's for Christmas?" My chest tightened. "Not this year. I thought we could start our own traditions. Just us." "Like what?" "Whatever you want." His face lit up, the kind of pure joy I hadn't seen yesterday. "Can we make a gingerbread house? A big one. The biggest." He hugged me, sticky-fingered and warm, and I realized this was what I was fighting for. Not revenge. Not proving a point. Freedom. My phone started ringing at 8 a.m. "Mom." I let it ring. She called 6 more times before noon, each voicemail escalating from confusion to anger. "Tracy, call me back. This is ridiculous. Your father is very upset. You're being childish." I deleted them without listening to the rest. My father texted at 2 p.m. "This is your last chance. Call us or there will be consequences." I screenshot it, saved it in a folder labeled evidence. Then I did something I'd never done before. I replied, "Tracy," 1 word, 2 letters. It felt like dropping a match into gasoline. Within minutes, my phone exploded. Texts, calls, a voicemail from my mother, voice shaking with rage. "How dare you? After everything we've sacrificed." I turned off my phone. The silence was terrifying. The silence was perfect. The refinance came through in 12 days. I signed the papers in a lawyer's office while Elliot colored in the waiting room. When the notary stamped the final page, I felt something lift, like a hand had been pressed against my chest for 33 years and suddenly let go. "Congratulations, Ms. Andrew," the lawyer said. "You're the sole owner." I walked to my car and sat in the parking lot, staring at the deed. My name. Only my name. Then I drove to my parents' house. They weren't home. I timed it that way, 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, when my mother had her book club and my father played golf. I left 3 boxes on their pristine porch. Box 1. Every Christmas gift from the last 5 years, still wrapped in tissue paper. The cashmere scarf. The pearl earrings. The family heirloom. Necklace that came with a story about earning it. Box 2 checks. Each one meticulously written out, $5,000 for the roof. $2,300 for the borrowed car insurance. $1,800 for the Thanksgiving dinners I'd apparently been indebted for. $43,000 itemized. Box 3. A single note on cream cardstock. Paid in full. Don't contact me again. I took a photo of the boxes. Then I left. My mother called 72 times over the next week. My father showed up at my house twice. I watched him through the window, pounding on the door, his face red. Elliot was at school. I sat on my couch and didn't move. The second time, he left an envelope wedged in the doorframe. I threw it away without opening it. Christmas came. I posted photos on social media, something I rarely did. Elliot and me building the gingerbread house. Elliot hanging ornaments on our small crooked tree. Both of us wearing matching pajamas, faces sticky with hot chocolate. We looked happy. We were happy. My mother commented on every photo. "Call me." I deleted each one. Then I blocked her on social media too. On Christmas night, My father sent one final text from a number I didn't recognize. You're being selfish. We raised you better than this. Family is supposed to forgive. I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back. You're right. I forgive myself. I blocked the number. The Facebook message came in January, from a name I barely remembered. Aunt Linda. I heard you finally walked away. Took me 30 years to do the same. Coffee. We met at a diner across town. She looked older than I remembered. Gray hair, tired eyes, but something lighter in her posture. Your mother hasn't spoken to me since 2003, she said, stirring her coffee. I stopped playing the game. What game? She laughed, bitter. The gratitude game. The debt game. Whatever you want to call it. She leaned forward. They loaned me money for my wedding. 20 years later, your father still brought it up at every holiday. When I finally paid it back, he said I'd destroyed the family bond. My stomach twisted. They did the same thing to your uncle. And your cousin Sarah. She moved to Oregon to escape them. Linda's eyes softened. Tracy, you're not the problem. You never were. I thought about my college fund, the one that came with a major I didn't choose. The car with strings attached. The house that became a leash. Why didn't anyone tell me? My voice cracked. Would you have believed us? Or would you have defended them like I did for decades? She was right. I would have called her bitter, ungrateful, difficult. Linda reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You broke the cycle. Your son won't grow up thinking love is a transaction. I drove home in silence, her words echoing. That night I pulled out old photos. Every birthday, every holiday, I was smiling but my eyes were dim. Performing. Apologizing for existing. In the Christmas photo with Elliot, my eyes were clear. I finally looked alive. Elliot's teacher called in February. Ms. Andrew, I wanted to mention. Elliot seems different lately. Lighter. He's participating more. Laughing with the other kids. She paused. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. I cried in my car for 10 minutes. That week, I joined a support group Linda had recommended. Adult children of narcissistic parents, meeting in a church basement every Thursday. I almost left 3 times before walking in. 7 people sat in a circle. A woman about my age smiled. First time. I nodded. I'm Maya. Trust me, it gets easier. Over the next month, I heard my story in 7 different voices. The loans. The guilt. The invisible scorecards. The moment they finally said no. Maya and I started meeting for coffee after sessions. She'd cut off her parents 2 years ago. Do you regret it? I asked. Every day, she said honestly. But I regret what I lost, the parents I deserved, not the ones I had. She got it. The grief and relief that lived in the same breath. One night, Elliot asked the question I'd been dreading. Mom, are we still a family if it's just us? I knelt down, eye level. Baby, we're the best kind of family. The kind where you never have to earn love. You just get it because you exist. He hugged me tight. I like our family. Me too. That night, an email arrived from my mother. Subject. You're poisoning our grandson. You're turning Elliot against us. A child needs grandparents. You're being cruel and selfish. This isn't who we raised you to be. I read it twice. Then I moved it to trash. Elliot's laughter echoed from his room, pure and unburdened. I made the right choice. It happened on a Tuesday in March. Elliot forgot his math homework. Again. 3rd time that week. I found it crumpled in his backpack after school, incomplete. Something inside me snapped. Elliot, this is unacceptable. My voice came out cold, sharp. If you can't be responsible, you don't earn screen time this week. The word hung in the air like poison. Earn. Elliot's face fell. But Mom, I just forgot. No excuses. You have to earn privileges in this house. He went to his room without arguing. The door clicked shut. I stood in the kitchen, victorious for exactly 10 seconds. Then I heard it. My mother's voice coming out of my mouth. He didn't earn it. My knees buckled. I'd spent 3 months cutting them out of my life, building boundaries, protecting my son. And in one moment of frustration, I'd become them. The cycle didn't break just because I wanted it to. It lived in my bones, my reflexes, my voice. I walked to Elliot's room and knocked softly. He was crying into his pillow. Baby. I sat on his bed, my own tears starting. I'm so sorry. You don't have to earn anything from me. Not my love. Not kindness. Not forgiveness. I pulled him close. I made a mistake. A big one. You sounded like Grandma, he whispered. I know. And I hate that. I wiped his tears. I'm learning to, okay? Learning how to be better than what I was taught. He hugged me tight. It's okay, Mom. You're still the best. That night I wrote a letter I'd never send. Every buried hurt, every poisoned lesson, every way they'd infected my love. Then I burned it in the sink. Some revenge is just refusing to pass on the poison. They ambushed me at Elliot's spring concert. I saw them the moment I walked into the elementary school auditorium. Front row, dressed like they belonged. My mother's face was stone. My father's jaw was set. They weren't on the guest list. I'd made sure of it. Elliot spotted them from backstage. His face went pale. I squeezed his hand. You don't have to talk to them. Just sing your song, baby. I'm right here. He nodded, but his hands were shaking. The concert ended with thunderous applause. Elliot found me immediately, bypassing his grandparents entirely. We were halfway to the exit when my father's voice boomed across the lobby. Tracy. Everyone turned. He strode toward me, my mother trailing behind. We need to talk. Now. No, we don't. I kept walking. He grabbed my arm. After everything we've done for you. I stopped, turned slowly, looked at his hand on my arm until he let go. You're right, I said quietly. Every parent in the lobby was watching now. Let's talk about what you've done. My mother's eyes narrowed. Not here. No. Here. My voice was calm, surgical. You came to my son's school uninvited. You humiliated him at Thanksgiving because he didn't earn dessert. You've spent 33 years teaching me that love is a transaction. I looked at my father. And when I stopped paying, you called it betrayal. We raised you, he started. You controlled me. There's a difference. I felt Elliot's hand slip into mine. And I will not let you do the same to him. My mother's voice cracked. You're being cruel. Family is supposed to forgive. You're right again. I met her eyes. I forgive myself for believing I was the problem. I forgive myself for waiting this long. I turned to my father. You taught me that respect is earned. So here's what you didn't earn. Access to my son. Access to my life. Access to my peace. You'll regret this, he said, voice shaking with rage. The only thing I regret, I said softly, is not doing it sooner. I walked out with Elliot, his hand warm in mine. Behind me, I heard my mother sobbing. I didn't look back. 1 year later, our kitchen smelled like cinnamon and nutmeg. Elliot stood on a step stool, carefully crimping the edges of a pumpkin pie. The same recipe we'd made that last Thanksgiving at my parents' house. But this time everything was different. Is Maya bringing her kids? Elliot asked, flour dusting his nose. Yep. And Linda's coming too. I smiled. It's going to be crowded. Good, he said. That's what Thanksgiving should be. The doorbell rang. Maya arrived with her twins, arms full of dishes. Linda brought wine and stories. 3 people from my support group showed up with their families. Other refugees from toxic homes building new traditions from scratch. We filled my small dining room with mismatched chairs and laughter that didn't come with conditions. When it was time for dessert, Elliot helped me serve. He carried plates to every person, including himself, without hesitation. No one questioned whether he'd earned it. He just had it. Because he existed. Because he was loved. Maya caught my eye across the table and raised her glass. I raised mine back. Later that night, after everyone left, I found an envelope in my mailbox. Cream cardstock. My mother's handwriting. My hand trembled. Elliot was already in bed. I sat at the kitchen table and stared at it for 10 minutes. Finally, I opened it. Tracy, it's been a year. Surely you've punished us enough. We're getting older. Don't you think it's time to forgive and move forward? We're still your parents. We still love you. Mom. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just expectation wrapped in guilt. I read it 3 times. Then I walked to Elliot's room. He was asleep, his face peaceful, his stuffed elephant tucked under his chin. On his wall hung a drawing he'd made. Our Thanksgiving table crowded with smiling stick figures. In the center he'd written "My family." I thought about Linda, who took 30 years to escape. About Maya, who still grieved the parents she never had. About all the people who stayed trapped in the transaction, believing they owed their abusers peace. I walked back to the kitchen and put the letter in the trash. Some debts you pay by refusing to pass them on. I turned off the lights and went to bed. For the first time in my life, I slept without the weight of unpayable debt crushing my chest. I was free. Thanks for watching my story to the end. To keep enjoying more exclusive stories, subscribe to my channel.